Hey Sippers, I'm Renee.
I'm Martia.
And I'm Demetrius.
And we are Sip and Unwine, a true crime podcast. Hey ladies, we're back for another episode. How are you guys?
Hey ladies, hey Sippers. I'm doing great. How are you, girl?
I'm good. Hey Sippers.
All right, let's do
this. How are you?
I'm good, ladies. I'm good.
So what we're going to do is get right to our featured drink of the week. Today we are sipping on a passion fruit hurricane. So it's a version of the famous New Orleans drink. If you guys are familiar with that, I think you can probably get one of those at Papados too. I haven't had one at Papados, but since Papados is like one of those kind of New Orleans kind of restaurants, they have them there. But I'll have all the ingredients in our Instagram page or Facebook page. And
yes,
it'll be on Twitter
it's so
too.
Good.
But yeah, right. So just go over there. And then if you guys do have this drink or any one of our other drinks that we featured on our podcast, just tag us. Like, we would love to see you guys getting y'all's drink on and, letting us know what y'all's drinking.
Yes.
And even if it's not even a drink that we've featured, let us know what you're drinking on.
Exactly.
Right. Yep. So now it's time to get into a true crime of the week. So this week is going to be a little bit different, I have to say. My true crime segment is devoted to celebrities or public figures who have killed before. Interesting.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, so I was just like,
it's going to be a crazy one.
Yeah, right. So I know a few, that I already knew about that I'm going to discuss on this episode, but there was some that I just never even knew about. So
look at you coming with the
new, we usually focus on one person, but this is going to be a couple of them because crazy enough, we have a lot of celebrities or public figures who have killed before. Strange.
I never thought about that.
Yeah. So I knew a few that stuck out in my mind, that I know just like offhand. But when I looked at the list, I was shocked. I must say that so many people have killed before and they just are going on about their life, like nothing happened. So let's go down the list of a few of these. Sure. So the first one up is Henry Ruggs. On November 3rd, 2021, Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver Henry Ruggs III, who was 22 at the time, was driving 156 miles per hour with a blood alcohol content twice the Nevada's legal limit just before his car slammed into a Toyota RAV4 with 23-year-old Tina Tinter and her dog Max inside. The woman Henry Ruggs slammed his Corvette into in a fiery crash, burned to death along with her dog. According to reps, yeah. You remember that story? You remember hearing about that?
I don't.
No, can you imagine going 156 miles per hour down a street in Nevada? That's just stupid in itself. Right. So according to reps for the Clark County Coroner's Office in Nevada, Tina Tinter, she died from thermal injuries due to the motor vehicle collision. The officials added that other contributing causes to the death included inhalation of products of combustion, fractures of the nasal bone, right side of her ribs was broken, and the left forearm, and a left hemothorax. So a hemothorax is a collection of blood in a space between the chest wall and the lungs. I haven't seen the video, but I've heard people who have seen a video because some people, what people do is they take out their cameras when they have accidents, when stuff happens, just to record it instead of helping people. But they said you can hear her in the car screaming for help, and I don't think anybody was able to get to her. Yeah, and that video is out, and I know a few people seen it, but, I didn't click on it nor did I look for it to click on it.
And what year was this again?
This was just November of last year of 2021.
Wow. I did not.
I've never heard. Yeah, I never heard about that.
Yeah, so they said later, prosecutors said that he had a blood alcohol content of 0.161. So that's more than 2 times the legal limit of 0.08. So Ruggs has been hit with 5 charges, including 4 felonies for his role in the crash. And prosecutors say he's facing over 50 years in prison if he's convicted on all counts. So he's been in jail since that accident. I don't think he's getting out ever. Or if he does, it's going to be, they said a maximum of 50 years. So, that's kind of like pretty much his whole life. So I don't think he's getting out of prison for that. And I don't know. They go back and forth on, the time that he's going to get. And people are saying, well, he was young and he, didn't mean to kill anybody, but going 156 miles per hour
That's
on
definitely
the street.
Beyond reckless, and you were under the influence. It's not like he was just speeding and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But he got behind the wheel of the car under the influence.
Right.
Wow.
That's just so sad.
And killed somebody at that, just an innocent person
And
was
the
just
dog.
driving. Right. Yeah. So
that's terrible.
Yeah, so he's in jail. So he's going to be there for a long time. I'm not sure of the court date and all, but yeah, he's going to be there for a long time because not only did he cause that accident, they have video of him speeding down the street, I guess from, because there's cameras everywhere usually. So they're going to catch it. But they did see cameras of him, before the accident flying down the street. So he's kind of in there for a good time. So the next person on my list is Miss Venus Williams. Did you know Venus has killed before?
Yes, I heard about her story.
Goodness, yes.
I forgot about it though. Wow.
Yeah, I did
actually forgot about it.
The media sweeps a lot of things under the rug swiftly.
Yeah, but man, I kind of forgot about it and I vaguely kind of remember it, but not really until I looked into it. So tennis star Venus Williams got into a car accident in June 2017, which left one man dead. Williams was driving in Palm Beach Garden, Florida, when she rushed into an intersection despite not having the right of way. She was T-boned by the car. The car's driver survived, but her husband died 2 weeks later from a fractured spine and other internal injuries. Palm Beach Gardens police previously cleared both of them that fatally injured that 78-year-old man. A police report said an unidentified third vehicle illegally cut off Venus Williams as she tried to cross a busy 6-lane highway near her home, setting off a chain of events that ended with a sedan driven by Linda Barson, 68 years old, slamming into the passenger side of Venus Williams' SUV. Venus Williams was named in a wrongful death lawsuit by the family of the deceased man. On November 21st, 2018, Venus settled the wrongful death lawsuit, and the terms and the arrangements between Williams and the estate of Jerome Barson, 78 years old, wasn't included in the court documents. So nobody knows, like the real details of it or how much they paid or how much she paid to them for that. But I guess she got off. They said that it wasn't really her fault because somebody else cut her off and it caused her to go out in the intersection. So I guess, it's an accident, pure and simple, and kind of leave it at that.
That's so sad, though.
Yeah, it is. That is so sad.
Just to even have them file that lawsuit against her, it's just that's just terrible.
Yeah,
right.
Live with that too.
Right.
Exactly.
So the next one is Caitlyn Jenner, Olympic champion and reality TV star. Caitlyn Jenner was involved in a fatal car accident on the Malibu stretch of Pacific Coast Highway in February 2015. You guys remember that case?
Yes, indeed.
Yes. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
you are jogging memory.
Yeah, because I forgot about it, but I remember it because I think that was in the early days of Caitlyn becoming Caitlyn.
Right.
And I remember how she looked at the time.
Right. Yeah, because she was still not all the way transitioned. And I remember her in that ponytail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And standing out there, but she was still kind of Bruce at the time, I think. I don't know if she was Caitlyn. I don't think she was Caitlyn at the time.
I don't think she was either. If I remember correctly, because I just feel like those were the early days when the rumors, it was like the rumors had just gotten confirmed.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it wasn't like a full transition at the time, if I remember correctly.
All right. That makes sense.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah. Because 2015, that was 7 years ago. So yeah, I think she was right after we found out about her transitioning or going to transition. But yeah, because I remember the ponytail and I was like, oh, she's for real, when she was standing out there at the accident scene. So according to eyewitnesses, Jenner's SUV rear-ended a white car and it sent it careening into oncoming traffic. It was then struck by a Hummer. Do they still make Hummers anymore? Like new ones?
I don't know. That's a good question. Because they're still out here, but I don't know if they make them. That's a good question.
Yeah, because I see them every now and then, but very far and few between, Yeah, so the driver of the white car was killed and 7 others sustained injuries. Jenner was not hurt in the wreck. Police say that Caitlyn Jenner voluntarily submitted to have her blood drawn for the blood alcohol test and showed that she was not under the influence at the time and she wasn't speeding at the time either. So after passing the field sobriety test, she initially claimed that she was being chased by the paparazzi, but police do not believe that to be true. But after that, she got off. Remember, they just dismissed her of any wrongdoing. But I know that the family was going back and forth with the lawsuit. And then I do remember her kids, the stepkids of the one that was killed, was trying to sue Caitlyn as well. But it was the stepkids who didn't speak to the person that got killed.
Good evening.
You remember? You don't remember that?
No, I didn't remember that. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was a big kind of thing because it was like they never talked to her. They didn't have anything to do with her, and then there was her stepkids. They wanted to sue.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, and that was dismissed as well. So I'm not sure if she paid out anything. I think she did, but I'm not sure of, how they seal all those records. So we don't know on that one. So the next one was one I had no idea of is Laura Bush, former First Lady Laura Bush.
Laura Bush?
Laura Bush.
I don't know nothing about this one.
Yes, George Bush's wife, Laura Bush. Yeah, this was a new one on me. So when former First Lady Laura Bush was in high school at age 17, she neglected to stop at a stop sign when she was driving. She hit another car head on and killed its driver, 17-year-old Mike Douglas, and who happened to be one of her close friends and classmates. So no charges was filed, and Laura didn't even receive a traffic citation.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, and that was the end of that.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like, how do you recover from that?
Right, you killing your friends.
Like
I've seen it say
going back to school and being in that community. Like, how do you recover?
Right, because I've seen it says close friends. Some places I've seen her as her best friend, him listed as her best friend and close friend. So I'm not sure if one or other, but I'll just put close friend and classmate. But yeah, how do you kill your classmate and then go back to school at that? And they
were close with the parents. How did they feel about it back then? I know she's like really old or whatever, but whatever year that happened, I wonder how his parents felt about that whole thing. Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Yeah, because I know I was reading it said that she didn't, apologize to the family or even speak to the family because, of a pending lawsuit or something like that. I guess you can't admit anything or, they'll use it against you. But they really covered this one up because I swear I ain't never heard this nowhere ever. And her being a former First Lady and that never was, it might have came up, that, and it was probably just hushed, but I just never seen any stories or any kind of big kind of thing. I've seen something that she did interviews after, she was her husband that was out of office, discuss how it affected her life. So the next one is Matthew Broderick. I didn't know about this one. This was a new one for me.
What? Yeah.
My God.
So on August 5th, 1987, Matthew Broderick and his then girlfriend, Jennifer Gray, which I never knew that they were together, but it might have been a big thing. But since it was back in the day, I probably wasn't old enough to care or even realize. But I loved me some Jennifer Gray from Dirty Dancing. Like that movie was everything to me and still is. So yeah. So he was with his then girlfriend, Jennifer Gray. They were on vacation in Ireland. Broderick was 25 and Gray was 27. They rented a BMW 316 and planned to drive from Irvinstown to Maguire's Bridge in Northern Ireland, where they drove on the right side of the road. So that will probably mess you up anyway. That's why I would never try to drive any place overseas or, another country that has, like it's different from the roads in the U.S. Broderick mistakenly drove the wrong way on a street and crashed into an oncoming vehicle, killing both passengers. Broderick and Gray survived the accident. The victims were 63-year-old wheelchair-bound widow and her daughter, who was just 28 years old at the time. Their names were Margaret Doherty and Anne Gallagher, respectively. Of course, Broderick was not charged with vehicular manslaughter and left only a note saying he said that he was sorry to the relatives of the deceased people.
Oh my God, he left a note?
Yeah, I think after all that was said and done, after they weren't going to charge him, he wrote the family a note, I guess saying he's sorry. So I guess that'll have to do. I don't know. But yeah, so he got off on that as well. You just kill two people and you go home and have a great career after that. So the next one is Ted Kennedy. Remember the Senator Ted Kennedy?
Yes, and I remember this story pretty.
Really?
Yes. Now this one I know.
This is one I'm like, we could do a whole show about this story right here.
Yeah, it's a lot here.
Ooh,
but
maybe
I
we
didn't
should.
I had no idea. But let me tell the sippers about it for those who didn't know, because I guess I might be the one that's just slacking on this one, because this is kind of crazy. Late on the night of July 18th, 1969, a black Oldsmobile driven by then 37-year-old U.S. Senator Edward Kennedy, known as Ted Kennedy, it plunged off the Dyke Bridge off the island of Chappaquiddick off of Martha's Vineyard, landing upside down in a tidal pucha pond. The car went into the water, and though Kennedy swam free, his passenger, 28-year-old Mary Jo Kopechny, drowned in the overturned vehicle. Kennedy fled the scene and waited 9 hours to report the incident. He later pleaded guilty to leaving the scene of an accident. Mary Jo was a respected political operative who worked on the presidential campaign of Senator Kennedy's brother, Robert Kennedy. He wasn't charged with a crime because to charge Kennedy with involuntary manslaughter, the police would have to establish that he did something illegal, like speeding or driving under the influence or stuff like that. But Kennedy didn't contact local police until 10 a.m. on the morning of July 19th, after her body had been already found and it was submerged in the car in the pond. So, even if he was drunk or anything, that, the next morning it wouldn't be in his system anymore. So, they couldn't prove that. And, I guess speeding really can't prove speeding unless you're there and you see, you clock them or something. So therefore, police were unable to test Kennedy's blood alcohol level at the time of the incident. They had no other evidence of illegal activity. And that's just it. And he was able to go free. I just think it's something fishy about that they didn't do anything more. Because,
that last name was probably what gave him that pass.
Yeah.
There's privilege on top of privilege on top of privilege with that family. The name, money, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
Power, all that, but the thing is, if he was speeding, they can't tell, I guess, how fast he was going, but did they see any kind of skid marks? Did he just willingly drive off the cliff? And why would you just drive off but he was able to have a long career in politics until the day he died, and he was honored and revered and everything. So I guess it's, if you can't prove it, for some people, they just, sweep it under the rug.
Right.
Yeah, if you can't prove it, it didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly. So the next one was one that is kind of still in the forefront for the most part. So the next one is Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin discharged a prop gun that led to the death of 42-year-old cinematographer Helena Hutchins on the set of the movie Rust in New Mexico on October 21st, 2021. Director Joel Souza was also wounded by the same round after it passed through Hutchins, which I didn't know that. Authorities with the Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office said that they were investigating the incident and trying to determine what type of projectile was discharged. No charges have been made in the incident, and Baldwin, both a star and producer of the film, has been cooperating with authorities. So that one's still kind of an open case. I don't think and I actually don't think that they're going to.
I just think you need to go to jail.
Really?
I just really do. That'll be for another day discussion.
Well, no, we can discuss it now.
I get very passionate about that.
Yeah, no, but why do you think you should go to jail?
First of all, why is your finger on the trigger? Why were you even engaged with that? Because according to what I've been hearing, and as far as when he gave his interrogation, I don't know if anybody's followed up with that. He wasn't even instructed to operate the gun at the time. So.
Yeah. And my whole thing is, why was there a bullet in that gun that they gave him in his hand? Even if you needed to have a gun with a bullet in it, why would it be in his hands? Why would it be, why would that gun be placed in his hand too?
I guess it could go that way too, but
so it's something. Yeah. And somebody knows something. They're just not saying it because there's no way that you just get a live round and you just don't remember putting it in a gun, that kind of doesn't happen. Especially if you're, whoever the person was that's in charge of the guns and all that and ammunition and what goes where. How does that get mixed up?
And I want to say it's the lady that he shot at had the right. I don't know how they worded on set, but she was in control of the equipment that was used on set.
Really?
No, they said that she was she was a cinematographer. It was another name that they named as they called her an armorer. ARMOR.
So that lady wasn't. Are you sure?
Yeah, it says she's a cinematographer. There was another lady name I didn't write down, but she was an armorer, the one that was in charge, and they said story was kind of not consistent.
Mm-hmm.
But still,
I don't know. It's too many details missing with that story, though.
Yeah. So hopefully, we'll get to the bottom of it sooner after they
it won't. It'll get swept under the rug.
I'm sure, because who it is, and everything that's going on. Everybody's trying to cover everybody's butt. Their own,
And not only that, a lot of I feel like cinema doesn't want to lose that eligibility to handle real guns on set, so they can have that effect. But I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll see on that one how that one shakes up. Okay, so the next one is Don King. So boxing promoter Don King killed 2 men in separate incidences, which I didn't know.
Don King.
I hadn't heard this one.
He killed 2 people. And this is 2 different times. He killed 2 people. So how old is Don King?
About 76.
Is he?
No,
because I mean these days, like in the 60s, I mean, you're like a fully grown person in the 60s.
Wait, wow. I just found out he's 90 years old.
No, he is not. Are you serious?
Yes, that's what Google said. Now, if that's true or not,
I was thinking the 70s too.
Me too.
Oh my god!
I asked Google how old is Don King, and it came on 90 years.
I cannot believe he's 90.
His birthday is August 20th, 1931.
Girl, he about to be 91?
1931. So
30. All right then. Lord. So yeah, he was in his 30s at this point. He was like 35.
Right. He was grown in the 60s.
Yeah. Is he still doing promotion, like boxing shit? Is he still like ringside?
I haven't seen him on anything as far as like with boxing.
I don't watch boxing
or promoting anything.
You haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. So King controlled one of the biggest numbers rackets in Cleveland. In 1954, he shot and killed a man named Hillary Brown, who was said to be trying to rob one of King's gambling houses.
He had gambling houses? Okay, Don.
Yeah. So when the case went to court, Don King claimed that he killed Brown in self-defense. The court agreed with the argument, and he walked free due to the ruling of justified homicide. So that was the first incident. The second incident, on April 20th, 1966, Don King got into an altercation with one of his employees, a 34-year-old man named Sam Gehart. King claimed that Gehart owed him $900, while Gehart said he only owed him $600. The two fought in the street, where some witnesses said that they saw King kicking Gehart.
What was the man's name that he got into with? I'm sorry.
Sam Gehart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So some people said that they seen that Don King kick Sam Gehart in the head at least 3 times and also struck him with a .38 caliber revolver before being pulled off of him by 2 Cleveland detectives. Gehart died in the hospital 5 days later. Don King was arrested and went to trial for the incident. The jury of 8 women and 4 men convicted Don King of second-degree murder, a verdict that brought with it a possible sentence of life imprisonment. However, the charge was later reduced to voluntary manslaughter, and King spent just 3 years and 11 months in the Marion Correctional Institute in Marion, Ohio. So the next one is Rebecca Gayhart. Now, I used to love her back in the day.
I know her story.
I used to love her back in the day from 90210, and I was just like, oh my God, she is just like so pretty. She was her face was like really pretty. It was like a funny look to her, but it was really pretty. So yeah. So in 1991, Noxema girl Rebecca Gehart hit a 9-year-old with her car, and he later died from his injuries. Gehart was driving in Los Angeles when she swerved around a car that had braked in front of her and struck 9-year-old Jorge Cruz Jr., who later died from his injuries. She said Jorge had been chasing after a soccer ball when he ran into the street. Rebecca, who was not under the influence of alcohol or drugs, was sentenced to probation, 750 hours of community service, and had her license suspended for a year after pleading no contest to vehicular homicide. She also settled a wrongful death lawsuit with the boy's family out of court. Can you imagine living with that?
Oh, man. Yeah, I heard she went through a lot of mental.
Yeah, I seen it. She was saying that she was thinking about committing suicide.
Yeah, they said a lot of celebrities had to help her with that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, imagine, killing a 9-year-old. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was that one. The next one is one that I'm sure that everybody knows about, but maybe not the details. Snoop Dogg. Remember, he had a trial that seemed like it lasted forever.
Oh, I remember that.
Way back in the day, like he did rap songs about it, didn't he? Or after? No, that was after the case. Long enough. So on August 25th, 1993 in Los Angeles, Snoop Dogg and his bodyguard was charged with murder of a rival gang member. His name was Philip Waldemarian. So the story goes like this. Philip Waldemarian and his fellow gang members, Jason London and Deshaun Joseph, picked up some burritos from a restaurant, and then they stopped by the stomping grounds of Snoop Dogg and his bodyguard, Malik Lee. Snoop Dogg heard a commotion in the street outside of the Los Angeles apartment. The gang members left, but Snoop Dogg and his bodyguard got in the car and followed them. So a little while later, the gang members went to the park to eat their burritos when a Jeep crept by. The Jeep was driven by Snoop Dogg and Malik was with him. According to Snoop and Malik, Philip Waldemarian reached for a gun, but Malik was quicker on the draw and shot and killed Philip. Snoop Dogg was defended by Johnny Cochran, which I don't remember that. I don't remember Johnny Cochran being his lawyer, but
I don't remember that either.
Yeah. Yeah. So after years in court, the court battles in 1996, a jury voted 9-3 in favor of acquittal for Snoop Dogg. So he got off on that. So that happened in 93 and the acquittal was 3 years later. Seemed like it was longer than that. I just remember it just going on for many different trials or different kind of things that he was doing in court. Yeah, I remember all that. And then I think after I guess you sue him for the civil part of it and try to get money. But yeah, so he got acquitted of that. And then after that, I guess he swore that he was going to change his life, remember, and all that other stuff. So the next up is Dog Chapman, Duane Dog Chapman. Y'all know who that? Did y'all ever watch that show, The Bounty Hunter?
The Dog, the Bounty Hunter.
Yes, I used to love that show.
I love Dog, the Bounty Hunter.
You only watched the episode or two, Martia? Really?
Yeah, that was one I couldn't really get into. And I was watching reality TV back then, but I couldn't get into that show.
Oh my gosh, I was obsessed with that show.
Me too. Oh my gosh. But so in 1976, 69-year-old Jerry Oliver was shot to death by one of Dog the Bounty Hunter's friends when they went to buy marijuana from him. So though Dog, was outside waiting in the car at the time, he was still charged with the murder. He was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to 5 years behind bars in a Texas state penitentiary. He was released after serving just a year and a half, though. And that was the end of that. But yeah, so he did his time in jail. And I think I remember him discussing that, like on his show.
He did talk about it on the show.
Yeah.
And he said he wasn't proud of what happened. And, he said he was young. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was, at least he got some remorse.
Yeah.
For what happened. Yeah.
The next one, Vince Neil. This is a quick one though. So in 1984, Motley Crue frontman Vince Neil was involved in a drunk driving accident in which his passenger, Nicholas Razzle Dingley, was killed. The two individuals in the other car also suffered brain damage. Though Neil was legally drunk at the time, he was never sent to prison. The next one, this is his name is Johnny Lewis. He's on Sons of Anarchy. Do you watch that, Demetrius? Because I know you watch a lot of shows.
I do.
Do you watch that?
Yes.
Was it good when it was on?
It was good to me. I like manly man shows. So
because I was actually going to get into the show. I was just like, I know I'm late and already went off.
I like the rough them up shows. Like, what you doing here? That kind of.
I was like, that looks interesting. So in 2012, 28-year-old Sons of Anarchy actor Johnny Lewis broke into the home of his 81-year-old landlady, Catherine David. He ransacked her home and then he beat her and her damn cat to death. So moments afterwards, I'm not sure. Yeah. So I guess when he was escaping or leaving, moments afterwards, he fell or he jumped from a roof and died right after he did that to the landlady and the cat.
What?
Exactly. So Lewis had been born into a Scientology family and worked for the church's drug rehab group, Narconon. Despite a history of drug use, And he had an autopsy report showed that Lewis had no drugs or alcohol in the system when he died. So that's not sure.
So why did he spaz out like that?
Yeah,
and y'all say he was an actor?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like I've never heard of him before, but I seen he's on the show, and I was
I hadn't heard of him until the show.
Yeah, like I'm not sure why he broke into the landlady's house and killed her and the damn cat, and then so they said they know if he fell or jumped from that roof, but I'm not sure what happened beforehand. But yeah, he died from that. So that's that. The next one is Oscar Pistorius. You remember this case?
That name doesn't sound familiar to me at all.
So 4-time Paralympic gold medal runner and double amputee Oscar Pistorius was convicted of the 2013 murder of his girlfriend, Reva Steenkamp.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that one? Yep. So the 3 fatal shots were fired through a locked bathroom door, and Pistorius claimed that he thought that he was firing at an intruder. So he was found guilty of manslaughter in 2014 and sentenced to 6 years in prison. But then after that, he was his conviction was later upgraded to murder, and he was sentenced to a 13-year prison term. So
yes, now that sounds familiar. Now?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Pistorius has served half his sentence, and he could be eligible for early release at any time now, since I think they said his 6 years in prison was June or July of 2021 of last year. So, and he was denied a few times of trying to get out, but I guess he'll keep coming up for parole, and we'll see. He might get out at any time now because he's eligible. The next one is Felicia Pearson. So you remember Felicia Pearson, Snoop on The Wire?
Oh, okay.
So when The Wire actress Felicia Pearson was 14 years old, just a baby, she was convicted of second-degree murder in the shooting death of 15-year-old Okia Toomer. So on April 27th, 1995, she was walking through her neighborhood when a fight broke out. And unable to resist, watching, she crossed the street to get a better look. So for some reason, I guess she got too close or got involved in it or something. But Pearson claimed that during the altercation, Toomer attacked her with a lead bat. And that's when she fired the gun that she always carried with her. Because at that time, she was still into stuff. She was a drug dealer and all this other stuff, even at that tender age. Okia Toomer died upon arrival at the hospital, and Felicia Pearson was charged with murder as an adult. Pearson felt it was clearly a case of self-defense, but the jury disagreed. Though she was sentenced to serve 2 consecutive 8-year terms, she was released after just 6.5 years from the Correctional Institute for Women in Jessup, Maryland. So the story went on how she got onto the show The Wire. She was in a bar, and Michael K. Williams was there too. The actor that was, his name was Omar. I think everybody knows Omar from The Wire, but the one that had the scar down his face. He saw her and asked if she was interested in acting or playing a role on the show. And she went the next day for a screening and was hired to play Snoop on The Wire. And I guess the rest is history for her. So that kind of really changed her life. I think she does other acting stuff. I know she was on Love and Hip Hop. I didn't watch it. She was also on Love and Hip Hop LA or New York. I can't remember which one it was. Or maybe
I think it was LA.
LA. Okay. Because I know she was on Love and Hip Hop, but that's after I stopped watching Love and Hip Hop series, all those. That show was really bad. But yeah, so she's still kind of out there doing her thing. So, I mean, good for her. So the next one is Charles S. Dutton. So I remember this one from way back in the day. So remember, Charles Dutton, right? From Rock.
Oh yeah.
Remember Rock, the TV show?
Oh, and I remember this story too.
Yeah. So before Charles S. Dutton was an actor, he got into a fight with another man and killed him. He was convicted of manslaughter and spent 5 years in prison. So after that, he was on parole for about 18 months. He was arrested on robbery and handgun charges. He was sentenced on a handgun violation and sent to the Maryland Penitentiary near his boyhood home for 3 more years. A fight with a guard added another 8 years to his prison term. Dutton was paroled on August 20th, 1976. After release from prison, he enrolled as a drama major at Towson State University. After that, Dutton earned a master's degree in acting from the Yale School of Drama in 1983. And I guess the rest is history with him. And he kind of really did something good with his life after that.
Right. And I didn't know the details. I mean, you kept it short and sweet, but I knew he had gotten into some trouble, but I didn't know he spent that much time behind bars. So I wonder how, like with all these people being celebrities, like how do the families of those victims feel when they see these
after
people
they're out there doing their thing,
acting, making money and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So the last one is J.R. Smith. So this is the one I didn't know or realize, the basketball player, I guess ex-basketball player now, but J.R. Smith. So on June 9th, 2007, 21-year-old NBA player J.R. Smith drove through a stop sign, causing an accident that killed the passenger of his car, which was 21-year-old Andre Bell. On the evening of the crash, he drove southbound on Stillhouse Road, a 2-lane stretch just over a mile from his family's mansion in Millstone, New Jersey. Andre Bell sat in the back seat, joined by Carol Marshall, who rode shotgun. When Smith reached the intersection, a 2-way stop, he proceeded to illegally pass the car ahead of him, and he continued into traffic and broadsided a 2004 Jaguar X-Type driven westbound by Lynn Sinatra. Andre Bell was hurled violently around the vehicle's interior and suffered multiple lacerations as well as a fractured skull after hitting the pavement when he got ejected from the car. J.R. Smith was thrown through the open sunroof and injured his left shoulder and landed on the road. Bell never regained consciousness. He died 44 hours later. Neither J.R. Smith nor Andre Bell wore a seatbelt, and a grand jury was convened to consider indicting Smith for vehicular homicide. Bell's mother requested that no criminal charges be pursued, and a month later, the grand jury declined to indict J.R. Smith in 2008. J.R. Smith pleaded guilty to vehicular manslaughter, and he was sentenced to 90 days in jail, but he only served about 30 days, and that was the end.
Wow.
And I think that was a push because since Andre Bell's mother requested that no criminal charges be pursued because, they were childhood friends, or I think they met in college. But they were friends for a while, and I guess they was, close to each other's family. So, you don't want him to kind of rot in jail. But that's kind of a hard call, though. Goodness. Being the mother. But, he didn't mean to do it, but still, it was very reckless. So, yeah, so that is the end of my list of celebrities or public figures who have killed.
Wow. That was very lengthy there.
List.
Yes.
Yeah. And
I'm pretty sure it might be some more to add too.
Yeah. A lot of them walked away free, actually, which is not strange, I guess, because they were known at the time, or some of them were known at the time of the incident, and others is just privilege that kind of got them to where they are. So the next topic here, we're going to switch gears a little bit, and it's not really a segment that we have, but I think we might have to incorporate this into some of our things a little later, because I actually have that question a lot when I do things, and it's called, "Am I the asshole?" And I know you guys heard this before, right?
Yes, I have.
I have not.
And if you haven't,
sounds interesting.
You just look up the hashtag, either put "Am I the asshole?" or AITA, "Am I the asshole?" And it's just random people putting a scenario out there of something that they did, and they just want to know, like, are they the asshole in the situation, or if it was, if they was justified. Okay, so here is one that I found on Reddit that I thought was actually pretty interesting, and I wanted to get you ladies your take on this. So Here it goes. Okay, so my friend is having a baby in June, and she asked me to be the baby's godmother. I happily accepted. Last fall, I booked a trip with another friend, and it happens to be the same time as my friend's due date. Now, my pregnant friend was asking about the timing of my vacation this year and if I had any plans, so I told her about the trip. She was kind of disappointed because she thought I would be available for helping out when the baby arrives, mostly for taking care of their dog when she goes into labor. I told her I was sorry and I would be happy to help her before my trip in any way I can. She said she was happy about that because she can never know if the baby comes early or if, she needs somebody to be like on call near her due date. I basically told her that I was taking this trip because I haven't been anywhere in 4 years. And now she's reconsidering if I should even be the godmother since obviously, this is quotes, obviously I'm not that invested, end quote. Now I'm really not sure if I'm the asshole or not. It's not possible to move the trip. My friend has already agreed on her vacation days and can't change them. This trip was also agreed before I even knew she was pregnant. So the question is, am I the asshole for taking this trip or not canceling? Well, she wants to know, am I the asshole for not canceling her trip because her friend is having a baby?
No.
That baby gonna be there before and after, or
exactly
after. Definitely you come back. But if the baby comes before you go on vacation, you're able to help. You go on your vacation and come. That's right. Her baby.
That's her baby.
Like, I'm not like she actually. That's like a question. Like the friend actually wanted you to cancel a vacation because her baby may come early and she needs help with her dog. I mean, I'm not canceling no trip for that, especially if it's already booked. I don't know. What do you guys think? What would you guys do?
I'm going on my trip.
Peace out, girl. I'll holler at you when I come back.
It's like at this point in time in life, it's like why people put just crazy demands on their friends and family. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's like just ridiculous. So, it's just, to me, it's kind of like, okay, well, make other plans because unfortunately I can't be there. So
and the thing is, she doesn't even know when she's going to have the baby for. I mean, the general, the due date, but I mean, that's kind of like wide open. That still doesn't really tell you.
I'll see you when I get back, and maybe the baby will wait till I get back, and then I'll be there for you. But
it's not like she's gonna go on vacation for like 3 months. I'm sure,
right?
I'm sure it's like a weekend, a week away, or something like that. But are you serious? Like, nobody's gonna be on call for you, especially if she didn't impregnate her. Like, I'm confused on where she's thinking that this person. Then she's gonna.
I'm going on my trip.
Yeah. Now
I think if she had planned the trip after. Mm-hmm. Finding out like her friend wants her to be there and she's agreed to be in there, and then something comes up after and she plans the trip. To me, that's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm. A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, but depending on like what the circumstances are, you can't really blame her. Like it could be her mama want to go somewhere or whatever.
And she said the trip was also was agreed before she was even pregnant.
So I would take that trip and never look back. Like if the girl decides to end the friendship, it's kind of like, well, okay. You in the friendship, you can't beg nobody to be your friend. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah. And the fact that she's saying now she's reconsidering if she should even be the godmother since she's not invested. Like, excuse me, like you're gonna take godmotherhood away from her because she took a trip close to your due date. Like what? Child, these people. I mean, I don't
know what I say. Don't ask me to do nothing for you that I cannot turn around and ask you to do for me. And I wish I had been saying that like my whole life, but I ain't started saying that till several years ago.
That's a good motto to live by.
Yeah, people will ask you to do and be there for some crazy things that you turn around and ask them about the same thing, and they going no, they gonna have no problem telling you no or what they can't do, or whatever. So so with this friendship here, I wonder if she had turned around and she was pregnant. Will her friend stay behind on the trip she already booked? Probably not.
And then the thing is, I'd be like, well, I already had this trip planned. So did you go get pregnant on purpose around that time?
I almost spit out my drink.
Yeah.
You said on purpose.
To be around the time of my trip. I mean, like, what? Wow. Exactly. So it's just like, no. So, I mean, that shit's going to happen. You're going to have that baby. I mean, it will be okay. But, I mean, girl, like, I don't even know if I can be friends with somebody after that. If they'd be like, well, I don't know if you should be the godmother now because you're not that invested. Like, okay, then, like, what? That just seems real petty at that point.
And who needs that kind of pressure? Like you said, I'm okay. There's no more.
Yeah.
I don't want that kind of pressure in my life anyway. Because if she stays the godmother, it's always going to be something.
Right.
Yeah. You're never going to do enough for somebody like that.
Like you actually, I don't know. Like that just seems really demanding. Like you actually think somebody's going to cancel their it's not even like she has a solo trip. It's a trip with somebody else, like one of her friends, and that person already taking that time off, and so you're just going to cancel both their trip. I just think that might be a little bit of jealousy because you can't go, But
now,
then
I can
she
see
knew
that
about it beforehand too. But I mean,
right?
You couldn't go though because of whatever other reasons too. So I mean, it could be like no, because how I don't know if that's her first child or not, but you know how it's like you can't do the same things you used to be able to do. It might be hitting her now, and now that her friend is kind of taking that trip, it kind of reminds you of the shit that you can't do anymore, or that you're not going to be able to do as freely as you was before. And you're kind of mad about it, but girl, nope, you're not the asshole. And I say, take your trip, have fun. And if she's still wants to be your friend later, then, go and do it. Be friends if you want to. But that's just crazy that someone would say that to you and expect you to cancel your trip. Like, what? Like, okay. But yeah, so that's our take on it. I wish we would have had different opinions. That would have been fun to kind of hash that one out, but I think this one's kind of
I'm over Friends, so y'all already know how I feel about Friends. So, if it's choosing this over Friends, it's always going to be this every time. If it's choosing that over Friends, I'm gonna choose that every time. I still love my friends, but we ain't making no choices with Friends over anything.
Yeah, because if you can do it, you can. If not, the thing is, it's not the end of the world. Like, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. Like, if you can't do that, then, you can't be the godmother and you're not invested in, you feel a certain way about me. No, it's just, I can't do that. That means it changes everything from before. Like, that's just weird.
Exactly.
So good luck with that, though, girl. I'll tell you that. All right, well, and sippers with that, we're going to end this episode.
Oh
wow!
It was a lot of death during this episode, though. I tell you, it was a lot of death. Usually we have a couple of, a murder or two, of people that died, but this one we discussed a whole lot. So
we did. Interesting too, though. I learned some new things about these.
Yeah, I like this episode. It was really different. I like it.
Yeah, it was a little different. Gotta switch it up every once in a while. We might have to do a part 2 because there were some people that I did leave out, but the list was just so long. It's just how it is. And then part 2 may not have everybody in there as well. All right, well, sippers, until next time, we will talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye, ladies. Bye, sippers.
Bye, sippers. Bye, ladies.